Hey everyone, Ben here, back in AMS 2 after nearly a year-long gap since I reviewed the 1.6 version update. At that time, I said the sim left me feeling confused. I enjoyed some of the new content and the physics update felt like they were a step in the right direction. But overall, the driving experience just wasn't quite there for me compared to other titles, and the AI remained quite a big issue. Now we're back with version 1.6.8.5, I'm not kidding, and driving a bunch of new historic GT and prototype content from 2005, as well as other updates to the core game. Is it going to be a case of the more things change, the more they stay the same? Well, yes and no. First things first, I've had a decent amount of fun trying out this new DLC. I wouldn't be making a video if I hadn't. These cars are pretty much right up my alley, providing more power and rawness than most modern GT and prototype machinery, and a much more engaging driving experience as a result. As for how they handle in the sim, well, this update has also come with various iterations to the physics and handling, but honestly, to my hands at least, there's nothing game changing here. This is, at its core, the same AMS2 as was here before, and that's either going to be a good thing or a frustrating thing for you, depending on your feelings for the title. What I would say is that this generation of cars does play pretty well to the strengths of AMS2 and also helps make some of the weaknesses less prominent. AMS2 has always fared better, in my view, when it comes to open wheel cars and those more dependent on downforce. For example, the historic Indy cars, the LMP2, the junior Brazilian prototypes, they've all been enjoyable to drive in AMS2. So the historic LMP1 and LMP2 cars in the pack are perhaps unsurprisingly also enjoyable to hop into and turn laps. They're lively, demand respect on throttle in the lower gears especially, and can be hustled quite excitingly through corners, giving you a sense of sliding tyres to the limit of adhesion without it feeling as odd as it can in other cars in the sim. My picks of these classes so far are the Courage and the Lolas. As for the tin top GT cars, they're also more convincing and enjoyable than the AMS2 interpretation of modern GT machinery in my view. My expectation is that these new cars will be more of a handful, and they are. That means the feeling of slidiness and a more loose rear end that you tend to get in AMS2 doesn't feel so alien behind the wheel of these monsters given the power that they're packing. At the same time, with the right approach to braking and enough respect on the loud pedal, you do quite quickly get into an enjoyable rhythm. Are these cars as enjoyable as the Race Sim Studio mods from a similar era in Assetto Corsa? I'm not sure that they are. In the end, the physics, handling and force feedback of AC are just more my cup of tea. But in the Maserati and Corvette in particular, I've had a lot of fun turning laps nevertheless. I also think the historic tracks are great to have. I love this kind of content from AMS2, and while some are grumbling that they're basically track skins for existing circuits, I think personally this misses the point and they're an excellent way to bring more authenticity to the experience. The two DLC packs are also excellent value for money in my opinion. £18 combined for 3 2005 track versions and 11 cars across 5 classes stands up well against any comparable offering in other titles. However, there is a but to all of this. In my running so far, the AI offline has remained quite flawed, and that can't help but take away from the experience of racing this new content, especially as online racing options are limited. In general, the AI is actually pretty good in wheel-to-wheel combat with you. They give you space and will fight you for position quite nicely. That's good for close racing. But a big exception to this rule is the disproportionate strength the AI appears to have in the braking zone before corners. They seemingly can brake much later and more aggressively than you, and then they're slower on corner exit, which means invariably you lose out on entry, get stuck mid-corner, and end up overtaking down the next straightaway. Now I can believe that this does vary from track to track, but I've been racing primarily on the new DLC content, and so I'd expect these to be as good as it gets in the sim. All of this is compounded by the fact that the AI continue to struggle to overtake each other. I'm running the AI at around 100 difficulty and on high aggression, but you still get these weird looking nose to tail chains of AI cars. I'm assuming that all of this behaviour is connected, and while I'm sure that programming this stuff is far from easy, it's also been a feature of AMS2 for a long time, and at its most pronounced, it thoroughly breaks immersion. And yes, of course AI in all sims has its quirks and things that hold it back, but for me the experience in AMS2 is particularly jarring. So overall, it's once again hard to know exactly how to feel about this latest AMS2 update. The new content is cool and generally enjoyable to use. It's very well priced, plays to what AMS2 does best on track, and somewhat mitigates its challenges. But the driving model remains broadly the same. You probably already know if that's a good thing for you or not, and the experience of racing the AI still frustrates as much as it entertains. To conclude on a positive note though, I can certainly see myself returning to this content more than other recent DLCs. But look, let me know what you think in the comments, including if you'd like to see more AMS2 on the channel, and I will see you on the next one.